March 2019 is a packed month for new indie game releases. Hi there and welcome to Get Indie Gaming, where today we're looking into 10 indie games you should probably want to look out for in March 2019. At number 10, and while technically best thought of as a showpiece demo prior to its full release at some point later in the year, Backbone Prologue sees you play as Howard, a private detective based out of an alternate reality Vancouver who happens also to be a raccoon. Heavily inspired by film noir and fresh from a successful Kickstarter that raised more than 150% of its fundraising goals, Backbone Prologue's pixel art looks on point, with the gameplay offering action elements whilst also promising a cinematic interpretation of classical detective stories. Backbone Prologue hits Windows PC during March with a date that's TBA, and with a full release on PC and all of the consoles within Q3 or Q4.
Hello ma'am, my name is Sunny and I'm calling on behalf of Vocal Telemarketing Solutions, and it seems like your account... Hello? Is anyone there?
At number 9, Where the Bees Make Honey lands this March on the PC, PlayStation 4 and Xbox. Here we have a puzzle adventure game starring a woman called Sunny, with the games looking to focus on the imagination we had whilst playing as a child and the nostalgia people can have for these sort of moments. The game shifts between a first-person perspective to that of an isometric view when Sunny reflects back on her past. This view can be shifted 90 degrees either left or right, which changes the elements within the level to facilitate exploration and puzzle solving. Publisher Whitehorn Digital are known for their offbeat, narrative-driven video game experiences, and Where the Bees Make Honey seems a fine match for their overall ethos. At this month's number 8, we have something that little bit different. Willowbroke Post sees you inherit your parents' much-loved post office while they travel overseas. Borrowing a similar backstory to other such sims, you'll forgo your life in the city to return back home to a countryside village where you grew up. Having lived in a very sleepy English village in the past, complete with duck pond and cricket pitch, I can relate to much of the things I can see happening within this game. Well, not say the running of a post office, but how such an institution can be, alongside the pub or the village shop, one of the main social constructs binding a village together. As well as taking care of the day-to-day operations of the post office, you will get to interact with the villagers, and your day-to-day conduct will in turn shape your relationship with others. Coming out in early access March 14th with an aim for a full release in Q1 2020, Willowbroke Post looks charming, a casual experience and something to play while whiling away the evenings.
What does your next one say? Maybe there's a clue there.
It says, another disappearance has struck our village. Yesterday a
clockmaker's daughter was reported missing.
Our number 7, Tock, A Tale for Two, is a game with an intriguing premise of it being a co-op puzzler that's designed to be played across 2 different devices. You and a friend are each trapped within a mythical world where your goal is naturally enough to escape by solving increasingly complex puzzles. The catch, if you can call it such, comes from each player not being able to see what's on the other person's screen, which necessitates a clear cooperation and communication set. There's no option for single play, and with the cross-platform support from launch, this could be my household's replacement for Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. Tock, A Tale for Two launches May 7th across mobile, PC and the Nintendo Switch.
Welcome to San Amaro, a city where any street criminal can become a kingpin and every meth head is an entrepreneur. And they have a lot to lose. They will not go down without a fight.
At number 6, Rico, which stands for Racketeer, Influence and Corrupt Organizations, looks and plays like a mashup between an over-the-top shooter where you're shooting the bad guys and kicking in doors, or with elements of Max Payne and FEAR. To my mind, the real selling point in this indie shooter comes from the couch or online co-op via a split screen. Everything here is procedurally generated, and with the developers calling the gameplay punchy and impactful, it comes with leadership support, some RPG elements, daily challenges, and Rico launches onto the PC, PlayStation 4 and the Switch, and the Xbox 2 between the 12th and 14th of March. Expected March 13th. The number 5 for the month, Baba Is You, is a puzzle game, and it's one of my most wanted puzzlers of the year. Here you're able to change the rules of the game while you play. In each level, the rules present themselves as blocks of text which you're able to interact with. By pushing them around to say change lava is melt to lava is float, the previously impassable fiery impasse is now safely hovering over your head. The game will ship with more than 200 different puzzles to solve, and at some point in future the game will have a level editor, which should be pretty cool to see what people can come up with post-launch. All in, this is a deliciously unique concept, and I'm massively excited to see what Baba Is You ultimately ends up delivering.
Knowing what you know now, would you do it all again?
It's not a day goes by. I don't ask myself that question.
At number 4, The Occupation is best thought of as a first-person simulation played out in real time, which launched on March 5th onto the PC, PlayStation 4 and the Xbox. Under a terrorism-driven political scenario, you play as an investigative journalist called Harvey Miller, set within a 1980s England. An explosion has triggered an Act of Parliament which threatens to erode and ride roughshod over the country's civil liberties. You are tasked with investigating and questioning people on their actions from the night in question, and with your watch and pager you're free to play within the real-time constraints of the game as you see fit. Now you do have an agenda to follow, and yet you don't have to stick to its details, so you're able to turn up late to meetings or simply not bother to go to them at all. Now I'll admit The Occupation has a huge amount of ambition, and it's going to take some highly sublime storytelling and event threading for it not to get bogged down under its own weighty ideas and goals. While The Occupation has seen a number of delays, I'm really excited by the opportunity it's looking to offer. My number 3 for March, ToeJam and Earl Back in the Groove, well, it came out on the 1st of the month and I was lucky enough to receive an early review code. Now I fondly remember the original, particularly the couch co-op from back in 1991, so naturally I was looking forward to seeing how things would pan out for this generation's hardware. Well, all in all, it looks and plays as it did way back when. Fans of the original will like this new incarnation, and yet for me, it hasn't progressed as an overall offering as perhaps I might have wanted it to. ToeJam and Earl Back in the Groove is available now for the PC and all of the usual consoles. This month's runners-up, Hypnospace Outlaw, the latest from the crew who brought us Dropsy, drops onto the PC March 12th. Here we have an alternate late 1990s internet simulator which puts players into the role, well initially as I'm sure there will be the odd twist along the way, as an enforcer up against adware, viruses and hackers with the remit of making the internet a better place for the rest of humanity. At its core we have a puzzle game with your moderation really being a series of problems to solve via what seems to be a text-based challenge and point-and-click system. I'm really interested to see how this one lands, particularly say with the younger audience who won't necessarily have seen anything like this before. Much of the appeal to me at least comes from the fact that this link to the past, and this looks very much like the internet I knew of the late 90s. It really did look this beautifully awful as we see here. I'm hoping this finds a market outside of a certain age bracket who may very well get this much more than others.
Mr. Tannhauser, there is no need to play games anymore. Assuming you knew, where have you been born or assembled?
Well, it all began a few weeks ago. when I got this notification that said I won a trip to Europe. I was stunned, but Aunt Lottie gave her blessings. A prize like this should not be forfeited, she said.
The number 1 indie game of the month, Truberbrook, comes out on the 12th for the PC and hits the consoles in mid-April. In Truberbrook, you are an American scientist on vacation in an alternate reality Cold War 1967 Germany. Here we have a traditional adventure game with sci-fi storylines and mysteries inspired by the likes of Twin Peaks, X-Files and Star Trek. While not only looking for some holiday downtime, you happen to come across a devious plot that could cause the end of the world. You'll point and click your way around the game world, picking up items, speaking to NPCs and solving puzzles as you go about your business. Mystery and storylines aside, the real draw for this one for me, well, it comes from the art at play here. All of the on-screen assets and scenes are hand-designed and built via the process of photogrammetry, which essentially means you can take photos and turn them into 3D scans. Everything appears to look wonderfully reminiscent and accurate of the time in which the game is set, which should really aid the overall immersion that the team behind this game are looking to create. Now, I think this one could turn out to be a wonderful little hidden indie game gem, and I have a review planned as soon as I'm able. So, which indie games are you looking to play this month? Give us a comment down below and let us know. Don't forget to click that like button, and if you haven't done so already, subscribing to the channel and clicking the notification bell, well, it's a great way of joining and staying up to date with this wonderful indie game community. As always, I thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you here next time, right here on Get Indie Gaming.